Thanks, Lucy. Thank you, Jason.
How you doing?
Mine is probably very similar to the lines that you were just mentioning of the SEAL events and how that seems to be very much centering around Australia. And in particular, a little building we have very much based off, if you can see that.
Wow.
This,
Yeah.
yes, this building is a war memorial. So it's 90 years old this year, but it was based fully on Egyptian and ancient Greek construction and mythology. So it's completely surrounded by a creation story in its construction, its size of 6,000, exactly 6,000 blocks, granite blocks to build it. But why I'm bringing this one up, just mainly to bring your attention, is it seems to really be sitting in line with the SEAL events that are happening and occurring, and how Australia, since 2020, has been setting up those SEAL events. So we seem to start our year with a massive smoking ceremony. They have the fires. 2020, we were on fire. We've had the same fires again start of this year. And then they seem to have big music concerts, and they all seem to bring these massive artists to Australia. We just had Blink 182 were here in February, and they had their backstage set was a Phoenix Cataclysm, where they had the picture of the sun going blood red, the moon going blood red and the sun darkening, and a lady and a child running, being attacked by demons or deities with knives. So it's like they're setting up this stage constantly in Australia, and it seems to very much be surrounding this particular building, which the building itself, it's got a glass ceiling on it. So they made this point of going to this great level of engineering in the construction to make sure that the sun ray would shine through this glass ceiling, which they call the eye, that would illuminate a black marble stone at the bottom, which reads,
Wow.
I'm not sure what Bible passage it's from, but it reads, "Greater love hath no man." And the sun ray will hit the word love at the exact time of 11:11:11. So 11 a.m. on the 11th day of the 11th month every year. So it's like, to me, they're using this building as their homage to their Apollo gods, the ones you're talking about with all these SEAL events. And this whole building was, they talk about it being the most controversial building in Australia because it was not wanted. So the war vets that were returned were forced to build it out of slave labour. And the only people that were really pushing for it were the tiny hats. Everyone involved in the construction of this and it going through, it was voted 9-1 against it being built, and yet it got through. And now they're, so September last year, they started their first light show. It was the Now or Never light show, and it's a full AI transhumanism event that ends at this building. They do a massive light show that was the light show to eternity, and they have a massive goat or alien face that's illuminated on the front of the building right at the very end. So it's like they're very much, it's, to me, this building's been built for these SEAL events and what's coming over the next, say, 16 odd years or whatever. So more than anything, I'm probably trying to bring your attention to it and curious as to what your thoughts are. They sent
Well,
out
I would
first.
if there's any type of schematic that would give me the exact measurements, like the perimeter, the height, the size of the rooms, those I could find some pretty interesting things. If there's interesting things to find, I could find them. I would have to
There's a
know those
lot.
measurements.
Yeah, there's a lot on this building. So Dale, who's here in the background somewhere, Dale and I've done a few videos on this building, but it seems to keep getting more and more involved to what's happening right now and building its narrative to, say, the next 16 years or whatever they're planning to do with it. Yeah, it's an evolve. I mean, a lot of it's based off Egypt. So they sent our first World War One veterans. If the war was started with Turkey, they sent our 11th Battalion to Egypt, and they spent 6 months at Giza. And the most famous photo is our World War One vets sitting on the Giza pyramid. What for? This is, and they
Well,
had
I
drum
would,
kits. So, like your video you did on the Civil War, where it looks like it was all a staged
yeah,
event. Yeah. So it's just, if
you
anything, I'd
could.
love to bring your attention to it and see what you find on it and what you know about it, or can
Well, yeah,
correlate.
I would like to. I would like to. I've never heard of it. I like to, but
No.
when it comes to rituals, you the rituals for 2012 Olympic opening and closing ceremonies were all about the whole COVID narrative and the vaccine. So when you see all the hospitals and the big giant demon walking in, all that was relative to 2020 and 2021. So you probably these Olympiads, they work in 4 and 8 year cycles.
Yep.
So you would probably find some really incredible material if you were to look back and see whatever concerts and whatever public ceremonies that were conducted at that building in 2020 and in 2016, and then compare those concerts and ceremonies with what happened in 2020 and what's happening this year in 2024. Rituals are not done the same years of fulfillment. What I mean is they're for the future. But the events that we're going through now, these rituals were already conducted 4 and 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So I would look in 2016, and I would look in 2012 and 2016 for any unusual activity concerning that building, and then compare it to 2020, 2021, and then compare it with what we know is unfolding right now in 2024.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Oh, I do have one thing. You don't have to bring her back, but she can hear me. Also, this is the palindromic epicentral year for 1972 as well. You would do well to look at 1998 and look at 1972 concerning the history of this building when you're analyzing events for 2024, because you understand the importance of 1998 in the palindromes. Okay, well, it's I have many presentations that explain that it's an equal amount of time. Just to simplify it right now, history unfolds in palindromes, and in the sequencing, 2024 is equal to 1972.
Oh,
so
yes.
look at the events of 1972 and the epicentral year of 1998. And if you find anything unusual about those years right there that happened with that building, you can probably expect something very similar concerning whatever you find in 2024 with that building.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.